Beer, rum, and rock and roll. Saving rock, one conversation at a time.
Welcome back to another episode of the Beer, Rum, and Rock and Roll podcast. I'm your host, Randy Legault, and I'm super stoked for this show. Why? Because I get to talk about two of my favorite subjects, KISS and ELVIS. And to make it even more exciting, hanging out with me to give his expert insights is none other than Ryan Spencer Cook. Ryan was the lead singer of Hair of the Dog, who released 3 albums back in the mid-90s to early 2000s. He's the founder and guitarist in the 80s metal tribute band Big Rock Show. He's the guitarist and vocalist in The Rock and Roll Residency, a tribute to 70s rock. He's also a huge KISS fan and has been living the dream, man. He's played in the Gene Simmons Band, and he's currently playing in the Ace Frehley Band, along with Jeremy Asbrock on guitar, Matt Starr on drums, and Philip Schaus on bass. And subbing for Phil, while he's playing with German metal band Accept, is Zach Throne. Ryan is also a huge Elvis Presley fan. He was the perfect cat to come on the show to help me review the new Elvis biopic, and he did not disappoint. So much fun. So we talk about what it's like to play with your childhood heroes in KISS. We geek out on Elvis. We throw in Evel Knievel, David Lee Roth, all that and a ton more. Ryan is one talented cat. He was super fun to talk to, man. This convo was a blast. So let's get to it. It's Ryan Spencer Cook on the Beer, Rum, and Rock and Roll podcast. Roll it. All right, it is my pleasure to welcome Ryan Spencer Cook to the Beer, Rum, and Rock and Roll podcast. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. So I want you to guess one thing. What is in this cup, beer or rum or water?
I'm going with water.
It's beer. Well, it's called beer or rum, and I don't have any rum in the house, but I've always got beer in the house.
That's fantastic. I thought, it's the afternoon, I'll play cool and say water, but yeah, awesome. Cheers. I got my Creatures of the Night koozie. See that?
Wow, you know what? If you remind me when this show's over, I have a Creatures of the Night gift I'm going to send to you. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome, dude. I appreciate you taking the time to hang. I'm going to go full Chris Farley on you right out of the gate. Okay?
Remember that time? Remember that time?
Exactly. Remember that time, which you're not going to. You might. We've met twice. The first time was in Edmonton, Gene Simmons Band. My good friend Brent Fitz was drumming for you at the time.
Yep.
And my brother and I went up there and we got the full treatment. I didn't know you guys, and we were backstage, sound check, and you guys couldn't have been nicer. I met Gene Simmons. I mean, dude, this was a dream come true, as you can imagine. It was fantastic.
Edmonton, refresh my memory. So that was a small arena, and there was a Wizard World convention or a comic convention going on in the same place. Shannon and her family were there. And I do remember that show. I remember the show being a little strange, only in the sense that Shannon loves the boss Gene around, and we love that. Like, we love it. We just love. We're like, is Shannon going to be at the show? It's like, yes. And then when Shannon and Sophie show up, it's particularly enjoyable for us because they just bust his balls. And I seem to remember Shannon busting Gene's balls from the crowd at that show. Did that happen?
She was sitting right next to us. It did happen.
Yeah. You heard the whole thing. I love it.
Oh, yeah. It was great. And to see them interact like a normal, obviously, married couple. Jeannie, I want to leave, that kind of stuff. That was just surreal, man. It was like, what's happening?
I know. Such a nice family, man. They really are. I'm glad that you got to meet them.
Yeah. Oh, dude. I had to reel in the fanboy. I think I did okay, and we did interact. He saw my Ace Frehley tattoo and he commented on it. We had a little interaction. It was fucking fantastic, dude. And then the second time was Grand Forks, BC, Canna Fest. Do you remember that one?
Loved it.
Right?
Loved it.
And again, we got the full red carpet, literally red carpet back there, treatment, hanging out with Gene again.
Do you remember what our dressing room situation was that night?
Well, there was RVs all in a row. That's what I remember.
There were RVs all in a row. There was a whole compound backstage.
Yeah.
But do you remember what our actual dressing room was like? We had our own trailer RV. It was a schoolhouse. because it was a school on the premises. So we were like in little classrooms and stuff back there. And I think that we were put in the kindergarten room.
This I did not know.
Yeah.
And we ended up watching from side stage, and we were on stage at the finale. It was just incredible, man. It was just awesome.
Will you remind me, and correct me if I'm wrong, I apologize if I am. So that was the night. Obviously, it's CannaFest, and then we were on stage, and Gene starts talking about all of the Canadian artists. And I think we played some BTO. I think we played "Taking Care of Business" part of it. I think we played part of "Working Man" by Rush after Gene did his Getty impression, which she loves to do for everybody.
Yes.
And
I think Darby Mills came out in Gene makeup and sang something.
That's
yeah.
right.
It was quite the deal, man. I ended up meeting David Coverdale, man.
They were the day after us.
Yeah, so we stayed another day and used our same wristbands. We just talked our way in with those. And I met David Coverdale, right? Like, come on.
Darling.
Yes. God
Hello,
willing.
darling.
God willing. Yes.
God willing, it's going to be a combative, combustible show. It will be.
He's so nice, man. Okay, man, enough of me fanboying out on that shit. Let's start by talking about the fact that you are a huge KISS fan, as am I. So I'm sure you grew up buying all the albums, buying all the magazines, had the posters in your room just like I did. The only difference between you and me is you're playing with these fucking guys now. Like, your inner child must be losing his shit.
It's not lost on me one bit. I promise you that. And I'm 52 years old. Okay. I'll be 53 this year. So the reason I'm telling you that is it gives everybody a very clear picture of how old I was when the whole KISS timeline began and where it went. So I was in literally like first grade, 6, 7 years old when I began. And I see behind you the Empire State, which is one of my favorite.
Oh, yeah. It's
downstairs in my cave with everything else framed beautifully, just like yours. Because, you know, we're grown men now. We don't tape posters on the wall. We frame shit, man.
This is a tack-free zone, buddy. Tack-free.
It's got to look at some class.
That's right.
And I see Ted back there. Oh my God, this is great.
He talks and everything.
But anyway, I'm telling you my age. So yes, growing up, there was not one spare inch on my walls that wasn't KISS. Every living, waking moment, I had a really tolerant mom, dad, and sister who let me talk about them all the time.
Right.
Anybody that knew me that was in school with me or in my immediate family, cousins, grandparents, aunts, uncles, everything, if you're going to talk to me, you're going to talk about KISS. And they all put up with it. I've told this story a million times. I'll just tell you real quick. I never dreamed of playing with a person in KISS or being in KISS. I just never did. They were the 4 guys. My goal was always to grow up, be in a band, get a record deal, and God willing, someday I'm going to open for KISS. I'm going to be on tour, my band, with KISS. And I did get the record deal. I did tour the world, and it was fantastic, and it was great. And I'm so grateful that I was able to do everything. I never thought that I would end up playing with 2 of the guys in the band. Ever. I never thought, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that, that was my goal. I worked my whole life for that. Man, all I wanted to do was be in a rock band and be a guitar player and a singer. I didn't think I was going to be in a band with those guys. I just wanted to meet them.
Sure. My parents were the same way, dude. I'm a little older than you. I'm 56.
Okay.
And
same wheelhouse, though.
Yeah, same wheelhouse. Yeah. My brother and I shared a room, and the wall ceiling covered in KISS stuff. And my parents were like, yeah, fucking rock on, right? But I had friends who weren't allowed to listen to the band, dude. Like, I'm like, what? I couldn't wrap my head around that.
But you know what? You and I lucked out.
We did.
We lucked out.
Yeah.
And I did in the biggest way. So it's good.
It is good. So now Gene and Ace, 2 iconic fucking rock stars to the max.
Yeah.
That's where the similarity ends. These guys could not be more different. So I want to know from your perspective, how you navigate these personalities being in a band with these guys. How does that work?
You know what? I'm going to tell you this, since it's only been about 5, 6 years ago when I began playing with anybody in KISS, being Gene, starting with Gene. I had a really long career of playing with people before that. And I think it taught me about how to deal with personalities who are rock personalities. Because sometimes you're really happy to meet the people that you followed and admired. And sometimes you just kind of wish that you would end only followed and admired and not met some of them.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's just the truth. That's not just in rock and roll or country music or music in general. That's in everything in life. I don't care what you're doing. That's just the way it goes. So to answer your question, I've always looked at myself as kind of like try to be the diplomatic person in a situation and look at everything and try to know how to work a certain situation, right? Now, that being said, you said something about them both being iconic, and that's where the commonality ends.
Yeah.
I always joke with Phil and Jeremy that the only thing that Gene and Ace ever had in common is that they were in the same band.
Right. Absolutely, right? Yeah.
Now, that being said, it's so different. And if they were sitting here bookending me, which I have been in that situation, what a conversation that is and what two different people they are. I'll tell you the one thing they both have in common, though, they have both treated me in such a spectacular way.
That's great to hear.
I'm going to go down swinging saying that is the one thing that I can tell you personally that they have in common. And I love that. I love it. Totally different, though, the way we work together, our daily routines together.
Yeah.
I do have a daily routine with Gene. I have no daily routine with Ace.
This is not surprising, by the way.
Yeah. Gene, if I wake up, Gene's up. If I'm getting coffee, Gene's getting coffee. If I'm on the plane, I'm on the plane with Gene. If we're traveling somewhere. With Ace, I wake up, I don't see Ace. I go get coffee, I don't see Ace. I get to the venue, I don't see Ace. I walk on stage, there's Ace.
Yeah. I saw an interview with Zach Throne, and he said he didn't meet Ace till just before you guys went on stage for the first time with him as a bass player. I'm like, what? That's crazy, man. Hey, how's it going, Curly? And that was it. Off they go.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, and you know what? I'm okay with both scenarios.
Right.
Who am I to be upset if I spend all day? Or would I like to have a lot of fun with both of them all the time? Absolutely. But I'm a hired gun. This is not my band. This is not for me to call the shots about anything. This is for me to show up and do what I'm supposed to do. And man, like I said, they both treated me great.
And that's great. As a fan, too, that's great to hear, man. Let's talk a bit about Creatures Fest, man. I know it was a few weeks ago. And for those of you who don't know what this is, it's like a big gathering of KISS fans and exhibitors and bands. It's KISS Geek Heaven. And it was in Nashville, right in your backyard. Now, the big draw, of course, was Ace and Peter and Vinny were all going to be there. And I got a sense from the reports I was getting back and stuff I saw that it was really cool and fucking weird all at the same time. What was your experience, man?
I agree that it was cool and it was weird. So this is a scale. This is the cool and the weird scale. Cool's in this hand and weird is in this hand.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
It's going to go like that. I thought it would have been more towards the weird, which made me happy because that's exactly what I expected. I can't lie to you. It's like I live really close to there. I'm 15 to 20 minutes driving distance. I wasn't there for the Vinny thing. I really took advantage of being home. So I showed up for sound check. I showed up to do my show, and then I split. I saw some of Bruce. I saw Jericho. I saw my friends. I was going back and forth a lot. So I didn't see Vinny. When I saw Vinny was the way most of the world saw it, was on the people holding their phones to their waist. It was a shot of the floor because you weren't supposed to film him.
I know. Yes. No filming.
I mean, it's so funny because I do have my opinions on Vinny and his role. I've met him once, and it was briefly doing a Gene Simmons Band. And he was walking out, we were walking in, and he stopped and he goes, "I heard you guys are great. That's awesome." And we go, "Thanks." And he left. That's my only interaction with that man. Okay. He does have a reputation for being difficult. I do know that. And I'm not saying I would say that in front of him. Like, "Hey, dude, you have a reputation for maybe being little." And he'd probably go, "Yeah, I do." But it was so funny when I heard about his show because I knew it was going to happen. And I heard there were all these rules and things you can, you can't do. And when I heard all about that, and I'm like, I'm going to just let my friends tell me about it.
Somehow it made sense, too. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like Vinny. Yeah, I like how he's shredding before anybody gets in. That was one thing.
Before
and the
doors were even open.
Right? And there's no band. He's playing to a track, apparently. Like, so weird. And here's what I didn't like as a big Ace guy, Rye. This bugged me. I'm not going to lie to you. He's on top of that tank, and my boy Ace is below, and Bruce, and he never came down. He was like on top. That bugged me. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I'm gonna give you,
Just give me a yes.
I'm gonna give you a big yes on everything, but I will tell you something, man. I learned that weekend, as much as I tell you that I left and came home a lot, I was also there a lot. I spent a lot of time talking to people, friends, meeting new people who were KISS fans. A lot of people I'd seen from the cruises or concerts. I mean, in general, right? There's just so many different KISS fans that are fans of different things about KISS, and they can argue about it.
Yeah.
They can debate about it. They can talk calmly about it. The last one usually doesn't happen.
Yeah, KISS fans debate? What? Yeah.
You just sit back and watch. It's like that popcorn thing, you just sit and you watch. But I really learned that weekend that the biggest draw for that whole thing and the way it was advertised was the majority of the people were there to see Vinny and to see what's going down and what's going on. So it's insane how deeply connected and passionate they are about each member of each genre of the band.
It really is. And it's always surprises me, the fascination with him. Because, yeah, I know he was important on a couple albums, absolutely. But I don't really get the over-the-top fascination with the guy. I just don't.
Me neither. I'll tell you, he and I started off on a bad foot. He didn't even know about it. When I was a kid, and my mom took me in Kansas City in 1983 to see Creatures of the Night, you and I and the rest of the world that was alive back then, we didn't have internet and all that stuff. You had so much less access to people back then. And if they weren't on Midnight Special or Don Kirshner's rock concert or the radio, I had to keep up in Hip Radar, Cream, or Circus Magazine. That's it. And being such a young kid, I didn't understand record releases. I didn't know that they came out on certain days of the week. You just had to go in your record store and pray there was a new KISS record. And when there was, you would freak out. So my point being, I show up at Creatures of the Night. We do the drill. Mom buys me the T-shirt, the program, the big Coke, the big pretzel. We sit down. I open the tour book, and there's Vinny. And I'm like, who the fuck is that? And my mom's like, hey, who's this? That's how I learned about Vinny. I literally set my ass in that seat thinking I was going to get Ace. And here's the thing that makes me look so stupid is buying the shirt and everything. The merch was everywhere that had Vinny.
But in your defense, Ace is on the album cover. Like, it was a bit misleading, right? It
was. It was.
I heard that was a great show, Rye.
I'm going to tell you, and I'm on record saying this for years already in different interviews, it still is one of the best and probably my favorite KISS production that I've ever seen live. Because you remember when Destroyer came out? People's complaining about the Destroyer tour, from what I've heard, it was so darkly lit. But do you remember Gene's Castle and the Rocks? And they even tried the Lightning Machine for a minute that didn't work. And there was the old dead tree and and it was very dangerous and dark and everything. The Creatures stage setup was a lot like that. And I remember feeling the bombs and the heat so much that it was like you were getting mule kicked in the chest. And they were concussion bombs. They weren't just like popcorn farts. This was like, pow. It was like, wow. And then I remember Mom and I were in the first row of the balcony on stage left. So I'm sitting there, and every time the fire would go up, you would literally be like, and it was dark and dangerous, and there's real attitude. They kind of had a chip on their shoulder, and you could tell, because that's when Paul kind of started with this salty language and MF in here and that, which you never heard before. And being a 13-year-old kid seeing that was very attractive. It just pulled me in even more. I mean, that hook just got.
Right.
That's one of the best Gene Simmons demon outfits ever.
And his energy on stage was crazy at that point. Like, they were trying to prove something, like he said, right? Yeah, absolutely, man. Okay, let's go back to Creatures Fest, back to you and Ace. You got to play with Ace, obviously, you're in the band, and Peter Criss, dude, on the same stage. Check. You only got one to go. You just got Paul, and you're good.
Well, most people don't remember this, but I have now played with all four original members of KISS. So,
you have?
When I was in Big Rock Show, we were asked to be on the KISS cruise for many, many years in a row. And one year, Six Man asked us to open the show, the Sail Away show on the Lido deck. and we were playing a couple songs, and we kicked into I Stole Your Love, and who decides to run out? It's on video.
Yeah.
You can find it.
You reminded me. I did see that. You're right. So now you got the Peter notch. Now you're good, man. That must have been a thrill. You did Hard Luck Woman in Strange Ways, I believe.
Strange Ways. Yep.
Cool.
And Pete played Strange Ways. Yep. Couldn't have been nicer. I've met him a couple times before. That's the first time I played with him. Honestly, the show itself was such a blast of him coming out and playing. The really special moment to me was early that day when we sound checked with him when no one was there. Because we actually had to spend time with him. We got to talk to him, and we actually ran things a couple times, and just kind of, there was zero pressure on him. And I felt like he felt that way. That's my favorite moment of that day, was sound check that day. As fun as playing in the show that night was, sound check that day was just awesome. And you know what's funny? Ace wasn't even there. Ace wasn't even a sound check.
Wow.
It was the band and John Corabi, because Corabi played along with us on Hard Luck.
That's right. Now you're heading back on the road with Ace August 12th, right?
Yep.
Headlining some shows, and you're opening for Alice again on at least one, right? Is that right?
Yeah, at least one. I think it's going to be more, but don't quote me. But,
okay.
You know, I'm the last to find out everything. You know what's fun about the show next week is at the Turning Stone Casino in what city is it? Verona, New York?
That sounds right. Yep.
That's the last show we played with Gene before we went to Ace full time. Yeah. I love that place.
Opening for Alice, I mean, another childhood icon, I'm sure. This has to be a thrill.
Dude. Yeah, when I was in Hair of the Dog, we were fortunate to open for Alice a long time ago. He may have not been supporting an album at all. I don't know, but I'll tell you, the band was Eric Singer, Todd Jensen, Paul Taylor. I can't remember who was playing guitar there. Alice has had a lot of band members.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, but this tour with Alice with Ace was just absolutely one of my favorite moments in my life. It was just fantastic. Their band and crew couldn't have been nicer.
You never hear anything bad about Alice and the way he rolls, man. It's just always positive, right?
Yeah, super, super nice. And one of the things that was weird about that tour, we'd all been off for a year and a half. So coming off COVID, there were lots of rules and restrictions and guidelines. We traveled with a CCO, a COVID compliance officer, a beautiful, awesome girl named Judy Wan. And every morning, you get off the bus, you walk up, there's a little tent set up, and you go and you get tested. You had to test every day. There were no meet and greets. There was no going out. There was no having your family backstage.
Right.
There was nothing like that. We were out for 2 months.
It was hardcore.
But you know what? It was that or don't go on tour. And we're like, I'll take it. And you know what? I think there were 49 of us total. We made the whole run and no one tested positive.
Shit was getting canceled and postponed all over the place. So good for you guys.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. The way it was then was if one person got it, the entire thing shut down.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that as good as I felt about us doing what we were supposed to do, every morning getting jabbed, I was like, oh, please don't let it be. Because I just would have never forgiven myself if I was the one that would have gotten, because no one tries to get COVID. But if you do, you're like, oh, hell.
Way to go, like, Ryan. Yeah.
I know. They would have been, I canceled the tour t-shirt or whatever. I had to wear it. And all this kind of stuff, you know?
Oh, that would have been awful, man. So what's it like now? Is all that lifted, or is it still, do you guys still pretty mindful of that, or you back to meet and greets? Like, is it all back to normal, or where you at now?
A lot of people are doing meet and greets now. Like, even towards the end of it, Alice started doing meet and greets now, but they were with social distancing and stuff. So I think a lot of different camps operate with COVID guidelines, but different COVID guidelines. If that makes any sense. Some are looser or more strict, however you want to look at it. But meet and greets are definitely happening again, which is great. Because you know how many times I've played with the flu or something? You just pull your bootstraps up and you go and you play. It's 90 minutes. You can do it. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the day that if you have it, that it's just that.
Let's talk about music for a minute, man. Like, I know with Gene, you guys, man, you dove deep, dusted off some deep cuts with him. With Ace, is it a locked in thing and that's that? Or can you nudge him in any kind of direction? How does that work?
If we can nudge something in, we will. But
Right.
Ace's creature of habit.
Yeah.
And it's got to be his idea. But he's the boss. It's Ace's band.
Sure.
You know, it doesn't mean I can't have a wish list. You know what I would love to do again?
That was my next question. If you could pick a song, what would it be to get in there?
If you don't mind, I can pick more than a song.
Oh, do it.
My wish is that we would go out and do a 78 solo tour.
Dude.
Because we've done it.
You did it once, right?
We did it in New Jersey at a KISS convention.
So awesome.
Right? Or KISS Expo, I guess they're called now. I don't know. I can't keep up.
Sure.
We did the whole thing. He's obviously more than capable. It's just he's got to want to do it. But if I had a wish today that could be granted with Ace, it would be, let's do 78 solo. And I know that you remember this. Records in that era, unless it was Physical Graffiti or something like that, records were right around 30 minutes, 28 to 32 minutes, a full album. So people can go, well, that'd be great to do the whole 78 solo album. Boy, that's a short show. I got the answer. We do the whole answer front to back. Ace goes back, very short intermission. Then we come out. We do Shock Me. We do Rock Soldiers. We do, you insert the songs here.
Rocket Ride.
Rocket Ride. See, exactly. So you do that whole record, come out and do 5 or 6 more songs, and there's your night. That's a full 90-minute evening. I think it would do great. And I think Speed Back to My Baby.
Oh, come on.
I Need a Love. Fractured Mirror.
Snowblind, dude.
Snowblind. Because Snowblind's been in and out of the set a lot.
Yeah. It's so good.
So, that's what I would like to do.
Save Your Love. That's another one I like. But
Save Your Love. Nova Dynasty.
Yeah.
Yeah. We played that on the KISS cruise.
A lot of Ace fans want more Ace, less KISS. And I know there's some iconic guitar solos on those KISS songs. I get it. You just want to see more Ace in terms of music.
I get it. I agree. It's weird. We had a lot more input in the set with Gene. Now, I don't really want to say input. We would just always throw shit at Gene.
When you did Charisma, I'm like, okay, these guys are going for it.
Man, that first night when we played in Cleveland, and we did Got Love for Sale and Radioactive and Charisma, I felt pretty good about the band and what we were doing. I was like,
right on.
This is fun. He was pretty fearless. He would do anything. Like, I'd say, hey, Gene, or any of the guys, Phil or Jer, hey, Gene, let's do Plaster Caster tonight. Oh, you're crazy. We're like, no, you're crazy. Come on. He goes, really? We're like, yeah, let's try. So we try it, and we'd do it. And he would always at least try everything. The only thing we couldn't get him to do was Rockin' in the USA.
Oh, nice.
He would not do it.
He wouldn't, eh?
He said, it's too poppy. I'm like, what?
Now I'm thinking back to Edmonton again. Shannon and Jean were talking about Christine 16 and how she hated that song. She goes, they should call it Christine 60.
But then do you remember that night? That's why I said she was yelling from the crowd, and he was getting ready to introduce the song. And she goes, no, don't play it. It's creepy. So we didn't play it. Remember?
Oh, I do. That was so funny, man. How about the KISS cruises? Are you hitting those this year at all? I hear it's the last 2. Are you involved at all in that?
I don't think that we are involved in this last one. And of course I'd love to be, but I can't be selfish. I mean, when I was in Big Rock Show, we did the first 7 or 8 years in a row. We were asked back every time. I've done it with Ace. I've done it with the Talisman, with me, Phil, and Jer. Listen, I'm blessed to have been on so many of them. It's pretty cool, though. I heard us leaving out of California this year, which is cool.
Right. I should have went on the Ace one because, again, Ace is my guy, but I just couldn't swing it. Didn't happen. Yeah, Fitz is always like, Randy, you got to do it, man. You got to do it. I go, I'm not a cruise guy. He goes, forget that. You would just love it. I'm like,
I'm pretty certain that Fitz is on it. With Bruce will probably be on again. I'm pretty certain.
They're on again for sure. Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's great. Which I think makes a lot of sense because those guys, man,
they fucking nail it, dude.
But they go for the stuff that KISS will not play.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's perfect for cruisers because they get to hear the songs. And since Bruce was in KISS, and a lot of the stuff that KISS doesn't play was Bruce stuff, the fans just absolutely love it because then they're getting everything. It's not just a cover band playing all that stuff. It's Bruce Kulick from KISS playing that stuff, which I think gives them a lot more validation. And Bruce is such a perfectionist that, he's going to make sure that everything is right. And those guys, Zach and Fitz and Kearns, just so good. And they're good people. They're my friends.
Me too. These guys are golden. Okay, we'll get out of the KISS thing eventually, but you triggered something. To me, it's a no-brainer. If I was Doc McGee, goddammit, those guys would be opening KISS shows. Like, it's a no-brainer. I don't understand this.
It seems like it.
Right?
It seems like it.
Not
Yeah,
a painter.
I agree.
Nothing against a painter or whatever they had there. It should be Bruce Kulick's band.
That's a great idea. That is a great idea.
I mean, this is not an original idea, but I just thought I'd mention it to you. I mean, shit.
You know what, though? But saying it out loud, it makes perfect sense.
Right?
Because, like I said, just seeing how much people love that era of KISS. Yeah, I agree with you 1,000,000%. That's a really good idea.
It would be great. And one last thing on KISS. How awesome is this vintage footage that's been leaking on YouTube, dude?
Oh, I love it.
I know there's controversy and I don't give a shit. All I know is I ripped it before they started yanking it. So I've got
Did
my
you
copies.
really?
Oh, yeah.
See, you know what? Philip and Jeremy and I have a very regular thread. It's the three of us and a couple other guys who are really deep into KISS. We have a text thread in our phone just called KISS.
Right.
So when you see KISS, it's the group.
Awesome.
Right, and when that stuff was coming out, we were all just so on fire and loving it. And one of the guys said, man, we got to rip this shit quick before it gets taken down. And of course we never did. I mean, it's just so perfect.
I'll send it to you.
Oh, will you please?
Absolutely.
I watched it forever. It was just on loop. I couldn't get enough of it.
Some of it, the quality was really, really good.
But you know what I'm curious about is, because you're a big rock fan, obviously, just like I am and everything.
Yeah.
Do you ever notice how many shows were in Largo? There's some Van Halen from Largo that's just outstanding with Dave.
You know what it is, Rye? From what I gather, there's certain arenas, Largo, Summit, I think Philadelphia is another one, where they had in-house video and they recorded everybody that came through for whatever reason. That's why they're always at the same venues, right? Like that, what's that other one? Fresno.
Yeah.
Right? All that Fresno stuff. That Van Halen shit and all that. Oh, man. Yeah, it's just awesome.
I could waste away every day watching KISS and Van Halen videos, bootlegs.
Dude, and I just don't understand why KISS doesn't get a hold of this stuff and buff it up even more. They got nothing but money and put it out on Kissology 4 or whatever. Like, I don't understand this.
Absolutely.
I just don't get
And man,
it.
did you see the revenge footage that popped up?
Yep.
Most of the revenge footage that we've all seen over the years is from the Palace in Auburn Hills in Detroit, right? And to see that new footage, man, see Destroyer, Creatures of the Night, and Revenge, those stage sets, they were dark and they were black and they were mean. I just love that stuff. And just seeing some alternate footage of the Revenge tour, that is to me, being as big a Paul Stanley fan as I am, that was Paul Stanley, his vocal badassery, his wardrobe, and his attitude, and his everything. And the Iceman came back, remember?
Yes.
That's when the Iceman came back.
Yeah.
And I just remember seeing all that stuff and just being like, oh. So when that new footage popped up, there was also some really good Asylum footage.
You know, that was a double-edged sword for me because I don't really want to see it because they look so weird and awful.
I know, but you know what? Here's the thing. That's not my favorite record, okay?
I don't mind the record. It's those outfits. I just can't handle it.
It's all of the above for me. But anyway, I won't tell you which guy in my KISS thread, when the Asylum one popped up, somebody just typed, meh. Okay?
Yeah.
I won't say which guy said it. And I texted immediately and I go, you guys, I am so enjoying this Asylum. And that's when they were really hip-hopping. They were running around real fast. You remember? It's just
I remember. But Gene looks so awkward. It's just painful to watch.
I remember someone calling him B. Arthur back when we were kids and like hit Prater and stuff.
And then there's Maud. Yeah, exactly.
Odd. Oh, my God.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
But that's good stuff. But anyway, point being, I love all the footage just like you do. It's just so good. So good. And you know what? You're right. Kissology 4.
Come
Let's
on.
go.
You know, I heard somebody on one of these KISS podcasts that I geek out on once in a while saying, well, because this leaked, you can kiss Kissology 4 goodbye. And I'm like, what are you talking about? All the other stuff was bootlegged a million times. Everybody saw it already. You want that as good as it can be on disc copy, and everybody would buy it. I didn't agree with that. I think people
of course they would.
Okay, man, let's change gears to the king. Hail to the king, baby. It's time for a beer, rum, and rock and roll movie review. So Ryan and I are going to give our thoughts on director Baz Luhrmann's latest, the biopic simply titled Elvis. Before we get into what we thought of this movie, let's talk about how we first got into Elvis and his music and the impact it had on us, okay? So you go first, man. Like, how did E hit you first?
So again, growing up in my house, my entire home was me, my mom, my dad, and my sister. My sister's 5 years older than me. So I'm the baby of the family. Elvis was always in our home. Always. Music, always. There was no VCRs back then or DVD players and that kind of stuff. So I remember seeing the occasional movie. I remember Aloha from Hawaii when he did the satellite worldwide on TV and we all watched that together. I remember late night seeing Jailhouse Rock and Love Me Tender and everything. But Mom always had all the Elvis records, right? So we were fans. And then my aunt, her sister was a big fan and everything, her whole family. So Elvis was such a huge deal in our home. My sister and my mom went to see him 3 months before he died at Kemp Arena in Kansas City. And
wow.
I remember being at home watching Gilligan's Island when they stopped the show and they came in on TV to say that he died. And my mom worked at a bank. And I remember like running the phone and calling my mom at work and telling my mom. And it was just such a huge gut punch to the entire world.
Yeah, it really was.
And you know what the thing was? I don't even know what it was. Like being so little, that just shows you like the charisma and the talent. You know, you just wanted to like him. And I remember just being so taken with not only the music, but the way he looked. He was such a handsome guy. And his clothes, it was so not lost on me, like what a big deal he was.
Right on.
It still is.
I agree, dude. I know you're a little bit younger than me, but parallel lives, same with me. My parents played his music in the Ghetto and Suspicious Minds, Moody Blue, all that shit.
Remember the Elvis Christmas records?
Yep. Oh, it's the best one. It's the fucking best one. His is the best, hands down.
The white one with the squares and his faces in each thing, like the Santa Claus, the snowman, the elf. Isn't that the...
That's the one.
Ah, it's so good, yeah.
And even though as a kid, I mean, I'm into KISS big time and maybe some Nugent and Aerosmith and Deep Purple, and that was about it. But when I heard him, even though I didn't do the deep dive into his tunes because I was in 70s rock world, you just knew there was something cool about this guy and his voice. You just knew there was something going on there. And I remember seeing the Aloha as well. And that last CBS special where he was not looking good. That was tough to watch. Yeah.
Even as a little kid.
Yep.
It was difficult. But I didn't understand what was going on. It was just like, I feel sad. That's the end of it. I didn't know about drugs. I didn't know about drinking. I didn't know about pills. I didn't know about relationships. I didn't know about anything. Fuck, I was 6.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
All I knew was that it made me melancholy a little bit.
Right. Well, when you see people around you that sad too, it's going to impact you as well.
It hurts your heart. You know?
Yeah. I didn't get into his music till, early 80s when I was in high school kind of thing. And I bought a bunch of his albums and I eventually did the Graceland trip, Sun Studios. And I even went to Tupelo, dude. My wife and I, I'm like, I'm here. I got to go there. So we rented a car and fucking went to Tupelo, man. Did the drive.
Absolutely. It's so great.
How small is that house, dude? That house is so fucking small.
The last show of the first leg of the Alice Cooper Ace Frehley tour last year was in Tupelo.
No
I
way.
got my picture in front of the sign. I got my picture.
Come on.
I did it.
You had to do it. Of course you had to do it. Okay, man, let's talk about this flick. I don't know where to start. So the way I roll.
Well, you're wearing the shirt, which is a good.
Yeah, I wore it to the movie. That's how geeky I am. My wife's like, really, Randy? Like,
I was able to go to an advanced screening where they give out posters.
Oh, no way.
I'll send you one.
No way, dude. That would be.
I grabbed a small stack.
Nice. So what I did, as soon as I got home, while it was fresh in my head, I just randomly wrote down a bunch of shit, like little thoughts on it. So I'm going to be all over the place. That's where I'm at. But let's start with you, dude. Like, what'd you think of this movie? Like, what did you think?
I go deep
Yep.
as far as Elvis geekdom. The only band that I know as much or more about than Elvis is KISS. I feel like I have every book. I feel like I have every documentary. I feel like I have everything. So I've seen the movie 3 times now.
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
And let's just tell the world who hasn't seen it. It's almost a 3-hour movie. It's 2 hours and 49 minutes.
And you don't feel it. I didn't feel it.
No, not one bit. I love the movie. I can't wait for it to come out on Blu-ray, and I'm hoping there's a lot more scenes that are going to be included with director's cuts and interviews and all that. I want all of it.
Ryan, I want that 4-hour director's cut.
I want the 6 hours. Yeah, I want it all. I want it all. We'll watch it together.
That's right.
I will tell you this, though. I loved it. I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed it the second time I saw it more than the first time. And I'll tell you why. I'm such a geek, fan, nut, and know too much about him that I felt the first time I saw it that I know everything they skipped. Like I would know it went from this to that. And then I left and I thought, well, the movie that I would want is going to be 10 hours.
That's right. Exactly.
Okay. So there you go. I'm done. That was my only thing, was just knowing. It's like, oh, wait, they just skipped what about which no one would know that's not a super dork.
I do. Yeah.
Like me.
Yeah.
So then when I saw it the second time, knowing, I loved it even more. And then I went a third time. I saw it 3 times in a week.
Oh, I'm jealous. I'm dying to see it again as well. Yeah, it's not a documentary. It's a movie. So you got to keep that in mind, right? Because I had the same thought, like, hey, that didn't happen exactly that way. And where's Linda Thompson and Ginger Alden? I mean,
you know what the thing was? I feel like that, speaking of those, the women in his life and everything, and even his daughter, there was a baby that was being held, and that's not it. The thing is, though, all the time about the people we just mentioned that weren't in the movie was about Colonel Tom Parker. That movie was as much about Tom Parker as it was Elvis. It was like almost like a co-headlining thing. So all the people that you and I missed, it's because they were focusing on telling about the character of the Colonel.
He was the thread through the whole thing, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. It started with him and it ended with him.
Right. That storytelling device worked, I thought. Even though I didn't love Tom Hanks, I thought it was a bit over the top. That accent was a bit weird.
Right.
That was my only negative on that. But you want a name like that on the poster. You need a guy like that to get asses in the seats too, right?
Yeah, and usually anything that he hangs his hat on,
right.
Tom Hanks doesn't do bad films.
Not too many stiffs, yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's so funny to just look back, and most people don't even know that guy started on Bosom Buddies.
Oh, yeah, I remember it too. Absolutely.
I will tell you, it's the first movie I ever walked out of not liking Tom Hanks, meaning the character he played. I mean, even though the over-the-topness, he played a good asshole. He's a great actor. He's fantastic. And it made you like, I don't like that person. I always think of that when I watch films. Like, if you really despise or love somebody, it's like, what a good craft they have to make you feel that way about that character.
And he's so likable. He's so likable, and you hate the guy. Exactly.
This is the guy in Big. How do you not like the guy in Big?
Isn't he a bachelor party? Come on. Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah.
So what did you think in real life? What did you think of the Colonel, man? Like, what do you think about all that? The way he managed him?
I honestly feel like he is 1,000,000% responsible for catapulting the talent that was Elvis and getting him there. And I equally feel like he restrained him in so many ways because he kept him from the rest of the world.
I agree.
And it was because of things that he wasn't able to do, not being able to leave the country. He had such a control over him. It's like, honestly, what a double-edged sword.
Yep.
The best and the worst thing for that man.
Totally. Why do you think he couldn't shake him? Like, just say, fuck off.
I mean, I don't know. All I can speculate in my pea brain is maybe it was the fear of I can't do it without him.
Right. Yeah. He had his insecurities for sure.
And it's so funny too, because, you know, he talks about growing up very, very poor and uneducated and all this kind of stuff, but he spoke very eloquently.
Yeah.
And he seemed very worldly when you heard him talk or speak to people or about things or whatever. And, you know, I just admired him.
Oh, I think he's the shit too, man. Okay, back to the movie. Man, Baz, I mean, you could tell watching this movie that the people involved, particularly Baz, loved Elvis. I mean, it's clear that the passion was there to make this guy the superhero that he fucking is. Like, it looked and sounded phenomenal.
Let me tell you. So one of my favorite films, when I watched it last night, for some reason, AMC or TCM or somebody last night did a whole Elvis day yesterday.
Okay.
So I DVR. I own all of it on DVD anyway, but I go ahead and DVR it anyway. That's the Way It Is was on last night.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of people who don't know what that is, that chronicles 1969. This was the beginning of Elvis's run in Las Vegas. This was the beginning. This was the beginning of the jumpsuits, and it shows his rehearsals on the MGM lot and everything, and shows you the whole thing up through there. I know that footage so well. I think I know that footage better than the KISS stuff in my life. And when they went to that in the movie, I was so blown away by how perfect I thought they made it. Even when Elvis's hair was messed up, they made his hair look messed up like that. Because that was something Panavision. It was a 7-camera shoot in Panavision. The original, that's the Way It Is movie.
Yes.
Okay. It looked just like it. And the detail that they did, I was watching it in the theater going, this is perfect.
I know. Because you're like me, I'm looking for shit. Like, they got everything down. Like, it was really unbelievable.
Did. Yeah, I was so happy about that.
And let's talk about Austin. I mean, this kid, I didn't know who the fuck he was, and he killed it. Like, even down to the way Elvis moved his fingers and shit. You know what I'm talking about. He crushed it. Crushed it. Apparently he studied Elvis for 3 years or something. Like, he really went for it, and you can tell. Like, I thought it was him by the end. Like, about 3/4 through, I'm like, holy fuck, it's Elvis.
Absolutely. Oh, he did such a great job.
Oh, man.
He really did. I was just so happy. Like I said, I'm just waiting for it to come out so I can own it.
Right, me too. Yeah.
And it's going to be on loop in my house for a long time. It's just going to be on loop. It's just going to be on all the time. I just remember seeing the trailer.
Oh, me too. And I was like, if it's anywhere near this good.
I'm like, June 24th cannot get here quick enough. I mean, I'm not kidding you. That first day, I probably watched that trailer 40 times.
I might have been 20.
It's just like when I first found it, I watched it probably 10 times alone. And then as I would tell my friends about it, I'd watch it with them. I'd tell people I watched it with them. I'd go, oh, I got to tell you, I'd send it to somebody. When I'd send it, oh, I got to watch it. I'd watch it again. No, I watched it a lot.
I knew at the beginning, this wasn't just going to be your normal biopic. When they fucking played Cotton Candy Land off some fucking movie soundtrack, I'm like, okay, this is where we're going. Deep.
Yeah, whoever the music supervisor was on that, I don't remember.
Man.
But, also, so there were some casting changes. Maggie Gyllenhaal was supposed to play Gladys.
Oh, no way.
And if you look on IMDb, like when the film came out, she was still listed as playing her on IMDb.
I did not know that.
Right? And then she was originally cast, got the part. So was Vernon, the guy that played Vernon. Both of them, since everything kind of got extended because of COVID and the filming, they both had to go work on the films that they had accepted. So they ended up getting replaced. So the mom and dad in the movie were not the mom and dad that were originally cast in the film.
Interesting. I mean, the supporting cast was great. It was cool to see Gary Clark's in there. Gary Clark Jr.'s in there.
The minute I saw, I was like, that's Gary Clark Jr.
Fucking cool, right?
I love it. Oh, I know. It's so fun. Like, now I just want to go see it again tonight.
What else? Oh, I wanted to mention, back to Austin's performance.
Yeah.
It was so real. Like, it didn't come off like a caricature or somebody doing an impression. Like, the Kurt Russell one, the John Carpenter one, which I'm sure you've watched that one, felt a bit like that to me.
Yep.
Like, I love Kurt Russell, but it felt a little like that. This did not feel like that to me.
No. One of my pet peeves, which is my personal one, people will dislike me for it, is people doing a bad Elvis.
Yep.
So those are my pet peeves. So I was very happy with Austin. Another of my pet peeves are people imitating Gene and they grunt too hard when they're singing like him. So I'm just throwing that in there real quick. So over the top Gene impressions, I don't like that. And bad Elvis is I don't like that. Okay.
Perfect. I agree. Did you tell that to Zach Throne? Because he does a good Gene. He does a good Gene vocal.
He knows where.
He does. Yeah.
He knows those thin lines. Right?
He really does.
Zach's great. Yeah.
Here's a fun fact for you, Ryan. I don't know if you knew this one. So Elvis's mom died when Elvis was 23. You knew that, I'm sure.
Right. Okay.
Guess whose mom died when he was 23? Austin.
Not Austin.
Yep.
No way.
Way.
I didn't know this.
How fucking weird
So
is that?
So how old is Austin now? He's a kid.
30.
He's 30. No
He's 30,
kidding.
yeah. How weird is that, man? That's so fucking weird.
That's probably what helped him dial into this part,
Right?
just
It couldn't have hurt.
and it's no secret, I don't know anybody in the Presley family at all.
Right.
But it's no secret that there was a pretty big love fest between Lisa Marie and Priscilla and him. Like, they approved what he's done and everything, and were very supportive of his role. So I love that. There'd be nothing worse than seeing someone portray your dad or your ex-husband in a way that was unflattering. I know that'd probably be really hard. And I love that they were very accepting of the way he did it.
Yeah, they gave him the stamp for sure. That leads me to something else I thought, and I get it, because they're involved. They don't want to make him look too bad, but they didn't really dive too deep into the drugs and the chicks and all that.
Right.
They mentioned the Memphis Mafia, and they just kind of, we all know this. We get you don't need to hammer that, I don't think, right?
Sure. Well, see, again, though, in my little brain, what I thought on the way going in, there are 2 Elvis books, a part 1 and a part 2 by an author named Peter Guralnick. As far as playing time and the script, that's the movie I want.
The detail in those books is unbelievable.
So to tell people, it's called Last Train to Memphis
Yep.
and Careless Love. They're 2 different books, and it's part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is the day he's born till the day he goes into service. Part 2 is the day he leaves the service till the day he dies. And everything you just mentioned is in those 2 books. That's the script, unfairly, that I hoped for. It'd be 10 hours.
It should have been a series on Netflix, man, and that would have been awesome.
Exactly. So everything that you just mentioned, there's so much stuff that was omitted, but I get it.
I do too. And something they added was that altercation in Vegas, Elvis on stage yelling at the Colonel. That never happened, but it was good in the movie. Apparently something like that happened backstage, maybe, I guess. I'm like, there's no way he would have done that.
It didn't.
No.
It didn't. I think he did call him an alien.
Okay.
As he did in the film. But yeah, you're right. Listen, we knew going in there had to be some Hollywood moments.
Sure.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. I heard Linda Thompson I'm very unhappy with the movie because she wasn't in it. I mean, she's been quoted in Variety and stuff. And hey, man, that's going to happen. It's going to happen. I feel for her, but you know what? Maybe she'll be one of those extra scenes in the box set.
That's right. Linda.
They didn't make the movie.
The Linda scene, yeah.
They didn't make the movie.
For me, man, I think that's the way it is. And I do love that, especially that director's cut. They kind of redid it. Fucking wicked. I'm an Aloha guy.
Oh, I love that.
American Trilogy on that, to me, that's my favorite chunk of music and visual of Elvis. It gives me goosebumps just talking about it. And so I wish they would have dove into that a little bit, and they didn't really.
I agree with that. And do you remember also when we were kids, because seeing the production the way that it was, you just didn't, it's looking at it now, people are like, well, I can do that on my iPhone.
Right.
But do you remember when we watched it and remember like back on the wall, all the lights flashing, and it was like a guy playing guitar and it was like and you're like, holy, I've never seen anything like this in my life. I mean, the only thing I'd seen that big when I was a kid was a KISS logo. And that flashed in one place. It didn't move. And like the Elvis thing was like, they were everywhere. And it was just very impressive.
How about when he throws his belt and cape into the crowd? I'm just like, what?
Oh my God.
Apparently the guy that got the cape gave it back. It's in Graceland. Like I got a picture next to it. He gave it back eventually.
Oh, wow.
So good for him, because that's where it should be, right?
No kidding.
Fucking throws it in the crowd. You're like, what?
Let me tell you something. Nobody had better belts than Elvis.
Oh my God. No
buddy.
shit. Okay, like I said, I'm just gonna say shit that pops into my head. So I go with my wife Andrea to the movie, and she's seen all this Elvis footage that I watch and stuff. She can't get over the fact that he doesn't just peck these chicks. He like makes out with them. Like full on. It's
Absolutely.
it's gross.
Man, Thank God there was no Me Too shit going on
Oh my
back in
God.
1960.
Have you heard of germs, Elvis? Like, what the
Yeah, I
fuck?
know. Oh, I know. But it's so funny because he gives as good as he gets in that, because one of the best lines in the film is the first scene where he goes out and plays on the hayride.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yep.
And his mom and dad are in the crowd. She's like, they're going to kill
Yeah.
my baby. He goes, kill him. The fact they want to.
Yeah.
Dude,
Can
that
you
is
imagine?
so good.
Oh, man. You could put two and two together. The amount of ass this guy got would have been
Oh, my
unbelievable.
God. You're the catcher's mitt.
Oh, here's a detail. They even put the Band-Aid on his ring finger. The Band-Aid so the chicks can't rip the ring off. I think I
did
saw
not
that in the
see
movie.
that.
Maybe
No
I'm making that up,
way.
right? I want to think that's in there. I feel like I saw it, but
I'm
maybe
going to
I
look for it.
Here was the shit, right? So I'm sitting there. It's the end of the movie. He's in the heavy Elvis, and it looks real. Doesn't look like he's in a fucking fat suit. It looks great. And I'm like, wow, they're going to go here. So they're going to show him warts and all. That's great. And I swear to God, I look over to Andrea and I go, you know, it'd be really cool is if they dissolved into the real Elvis right now. And they fucking did it, right?
Sure
I'm
did.
like, I started welling up. She's like, are you going to be okay? I'm like, I'm fine.
No.
It was just, it was too much. It put me over the edge.
Same way with me. I cried. I cried in the beginning.
I was crying throughout.
Dude, when it started, and the whole montage that starts like that's the way it is, and it just,
Oh my God.
like right now, it makes me just,
Yeah. Dude, I can relate so much. Yeah.
They need us to go do PR for this movie because we'll sell this fucking thing.
Fuck yeah, we will. How about the fact Elvis could have been in The Star Is Born instead of Christopherson?
I know.
Like, fuck. Because the guy can act. King Creole, he's good. Like, he could act, and he just wasn't given a shot.
What's your favorite Elvis movie?
I'm going to say King Creole or Jailhouse. Yeah.
Girl Happy.
Girl Happy.
Man, I love every song in that. I have the LP on soundtrack.
Oh,
Dude.
man. Awesome.
Oh, my God. And I just love when they hired the band. My favorite thing. Remember Danny Bonaducci playing bass in the Partridge Family? Couldn't be more not playing bass than anything. That was one of the great things about Elvis's band members. Their hands never matched what was going on in the film. I love it. But Girl Happy is probably my favorite.
Do you remember fucking Charlie Hodge?
Yeah.
Was actually in that Kurt Russell one, eh? He's in that movie. Because I rewatched it because I went on this Elvis binge after seeing the movie. I'm like, holy fuck, Charlie Hodge is in this.
No kidding. What a cool band. Because, I mean, everybody knows James Burton.
Yeah.
It was awesome. But nobody mentions John Wilkinson.
Yep.
Who also is a guitar player. Ronnie Tutt.
Jerry Schiff.
Oh, God. Those guys. And then the Sweet Inspirations and the Jordanaires and the whole.
J.D. Sumner and the Stamps Quartet.
It's just so impressive.
Another thought I had, Rye, was nobody's ever had this level of fame and attention before.
Right.
And he ends up in his bubble, but he's by himself. I don't care. He's got these friends, but they're ass kissers, a lot of them. It's not like the Beatles where the Beatles could lean on each other. He's by himself dealing with all this.
Totally.
That must have been a real mind fuck, you know? Like,
absolutely. Yep. No, I'm sure it was. And, you know, there was such an adult aura about him. And I mean that in a way that, like, today, everybody is and this is not to take away from what I'm going to mention, but everybody is a Justin Bieber or when the boy band thing started and all that. Elvis was always just such a man in my eyes. And he was such an adult and a grown up. And then when you saw the people that went to see him, it was just always such an adult grown up thing that always made me take it more serious than a lot of other stuff. I don't know what it is.
even though he was a teen idol, he didn't seem like them.
He didn't, though.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing to me. He never was a teen idol. Elvis was just always Elvis. And that's the point I was, I guess, trying to make that I got away from it. Just that's what made him so different and above and beyond everyone else to me was, I don't want to call it seriousness because
he was goofy as shit a lot of the time.
He was very self-deprecating.
Yeah.
Which I always admired. My mom has always said, there'll never be another Elvis. And there won't.
Well, people forget this too. Like, you could apply this to KISS as well, but Elvis is for sure, you forget how different he was with the clothes, and he got beat up all the time. Like, he was a freak in a good
Absolutely.
way. In a good way.
Absolutely.
The jumpsuits, the collars. Where do you think Prince got that idea to have the collars that high? I mean,
Listen, I remember that was such a big deal. I remember when we were little kids, and this could have been right before or after Elvis died. We were going to the fair where I grew up one night to see Tony Orlando and Don. Freddie Prinze happened to die the day before, so Tony Orlando canceled. The Osmonds replaced him.
Right on.
So we saw the Osmonds, and the Osmonds all came out in Elvis jumpsuits.
Of course they did. Oh, that's awesome.
I don't remember one thing that they played. I remember one thing. All I remember is at one point, Donnie turned around and put his back to the crowd, and he spread the cape like Elvis had it, and there were all these lights on it, and then all the lights went, and the whole place was like, woo!
That's something I did learn from the movie. I'll admit I did not know. The one thing is that whole Captain Marvel Jr. thing. I didn't put that together where that's why he wore the cape and all that stuff.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Had no idea.
That was interesting.
And you know who else started right around then doing the cape and the cane thing? Evel Knievel.
Oh, Evel totally stole from Elvis. Absolutely. Head to toe, man. Oh,
Everything.
Yeah. Everything.
The only thing that he had different than Elvis was Evel's cane was a flask. It was.
Of course it was.
Look that up.
He's a badass. Holy
She
shit.
beat your ass with it and then drink out of it.
Oh, man. I remember I had that fucking wind-up fucking Evel
I had it
Knievel.
all.
Oh,
I
dude.
had it all. I had the scramble van. I had the dragster. I had all of it.
I remember watching live the Snake River thing. Do you remember watching that live? I saw a documentary. I'm sure you've seen it on Evel. A couple of them. He could have literally died doing that. Like, that was no joke.
He was like a cat.
Well, that's true. He could have died
With
everything he did. But
the lives, 9 lives. I mean, easily. And it was so funny because that guy wasn't jumping. Dirt bikes today, they have suspension and they're made of alloy that's very light. He was jumping Harley street bikes.
Harleys.
How heavy those are.
It was insane. Insane. Oh, my God. Okay, dude. Well, in case if anybody's wondering, go see this fucking movie. It's incredible. It just is. You can nitpick it all day long. Who cares? Overall, it's entertainment before facts, let's say.
And it might make people realize why we like KISS as much as we do, because even if they don't know it, KISS borrowed something from Elvis as far as showmanship goes. He got it, and they get it. His jumpsuits were every bit as important as the makeup they put on every night. That was part of his thing.
I agree, man. And I hear they're making a biopic. I'm nervous.
Me
KISS
too.
biopic makes me nervous, man.
Me too.
You got to get 4 guys right, not just one.
Oh, I know. And you got to get the story right.
I picture that Def Leppard one they made.
God.
And it's
when
so
Anthony
bad.
Michael Hall played Mutt Lange.
Oh my God. I just picture that. I'm like, oh my God.
I do too. And you know what else? I hope in the KISS film they get a better Doc McGee than the Dirt guy.
Oh, the Dirt. Oh
my God.
it was okay. It was okay.
Listen, I had a great time watching that film. And my favorite guy leading that film, I don't know what you think about Machine Gun Kelly, whatever, but I thought he was a fucking funny Tommy Lee in that film. I really enjoyed him in that. I have friends who can't watch it, who hate it. I've watched it many times. It's fun. It's fucking fun. What would you expect?
Exactly. It's Motley Crue. You want historical accuracy? You're not going to get
And by the way, one of the asshole villains like Game of Thrones is Mick Mars. Come on. That was great.
You're right. Machine Gun Kelly killed it, man.
Wasn't he funny in that?
He was great.
He's got the build. I thought he was very funny.
The one thing I laughed in terms of making shit up was before Vince's accident, they're in this huge mansion. No, he wasn't. He was in a fucking 2-bedroom apartment.
And what's even funnier is like that mansion wasn't there, and then everybody's else just came like from a fucking gala.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, first of all, there were probably 7 people there.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody was fucked up and dirty with fucking bloody noses, and going down to get more beer. Yeah, no, that's a fun film. We'll do another episode about the Dirt.
Exactly. We could talk for an hour on the fucking Dirt. Okay, one last Elvis thing. Are you ready? I'm going to put you under the gun here, buddy.
Oh, great.
Gun to your head. 50s Elvis? 60s Elvis?
70.
70s Elvis. Me too.
70.
All day long. All day long. I love the way he sings here. Like the voice got more baritone or whatever. I just fucking love him in the 70s.
And that's when he really got into the whole, he got very, just his mannerisms and everything. I'll put it to you this way. I feel like Elvis, we got to see him at his best and his worst because we lost him when he was at his worst. And I hate it when people go, oh, he looks so bad and everything. I remember reading an article of Farrah Fawcett years ago. And, you know, we all had that poster.
I got it right there.
Yeah, I have it upstairs in my wardrobe room. Framed, no tax, it's framed. And she said one of the things that hurt her most was always when people would say something about her, she heard the first thing people would always say, how'd she look?
Right.
And she's like, believe it or not, sometimes that made me feel bad because I don't personally always feel like I look great. And whenever Elvis, you talk about Elvis in the 70s when he died, was he at his physical best? Absolutely not. But I never loved him one bit less because of the way he looked. I promise you that, my hand to God. I never liked Elvis less because he gained weight or was in bad physical shape. But the 70s, the reason it's my favorite, I think we saw him at his best because to me, my favorite is that's the way it is. The beginning of that, you know, it's hard to fight the Black Leather 68 comeback Elvis. That's some badass shit right there.
It is.
Right? I kind of put that together with the 70s Elvis.
It's all good. I know. And you're right. It pisses me off because your average person walking around, when they hear the name Elvis, they think of that right at the end period, that last year or whatever. That's the only time he looked like that. He was in shape almost, I would say 90% of the time. I fucking hate that.
He was flawed. I know that. I don't care. Every artist that you love is flawed. I promise you.
Yes.
In some way, shape, or form. That doesn't mean that everybody's going to die of drugs. I don't hope that for anybody.
It becomes a punchline, and I don't like
that. I don't
that.
like that.
Same with Ozzy. Because of that reality show, people think he's this fucking clown. He's not. Yeah. This is a talented fucking dude.
It really is.
It also annoys me.
I know.
Get on my soapbox, Ryan.
We have a lot of episodes we got to get on here.
Hey, before I let you go, did you hear this? I read this. You're a big David Lee Roth guy, of course, as am I. Eat 'em and Smile tour was fucking wicked. Billy Sheehan has the only pro-shot version of that show, and he won't release it without Roth's permission, and he's got to get his permission.
I saw this news. You know, he lives down the street.
No way. Everybody's in Nashville, for fuck's sake.
Everybody's in Nashville. I say down the street. I would say he's 12 minutes from here, where Billy lives. It's not far at all.
Yeah.
I did see that news. I hope that he gets released. And
go knock on his door right after we're done.
I know. Someday we'll talk about Dave because I got a lot of Dave stuff for you.
Oh, dude. Awesome. We have to do that. Yeah. Of course, I've seen the bootleg version of that show, and it's not bad. But he says his is fucking really good. So.
You know what I've been listening to as of late?
I don't.
Is Apple Music finally decided to make available the Spanish version of Eat 'em and Smile.
I've had that for a while. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got it on vinyl. I've had it on for a long time, but recently I just discovered like a month ago that Apple Music, I thought, I'm going to listen to Eat 'em and Smile today when I go running. And I looked and I was like, what?
Who else would do that? Dave.
I know.
It's fun to listen to.
The whole record.
The entire fucking thing.
He did the whole record. Hola!
It's El Loco or whatever.
El Loco.
Oh, Dave is the fucking shit. Love Dave.
Yep.
He's the holdup on this EVH tribute, and I wish he would figure that out because that would be awesome.
We can only wish.
We can only hope. Okay, Rye, here's your chance, your Gene Simmons moment. You want to promote anything?
No, I don't want to promote anything. I have nothing to promote, really. I just want to say thanks to everybody for being so nice to us all the time because it's not easy being a KISS fan. I know that. We all debate a lot about stuff. I actually sit and watch. I don't debate with anybody. I just sit and watch it all go down. And I am happy, though, and grateful for everybody that's been so nice to us doing the Gene and the Ace thing because just like you guys, they're my favorite band.
When are you guys coming to Canada? You got to come to Canada, Rye.
You know what? It'll happen again. Gene keeps saying that we're going back out again as soon as I'm done with this band.
Yes.
This little band.
They just announced 100 more dates or something. When's that going to happen?
I know. No, we're going back out with Ace next week. We start again. We've got dates until the end of the year. Where are we going next week? I know that first show I told you is at the Turning Stone Casino. After that, I have no idea. I'll have to look. But everything's going great. Phil and Jer and I have a side record that we've doing with Marty Fredrickson that's going to be coming out real soon. Cool. Probably next year. But we just finished tracking a couple days ago, and it's all Phillips out with Accept right now.
I see that. He's tearing it up.
Yeah, we'll see him again soon with Ace. And me, Phil, and Jer all live here in Nashville. And everybody's busy and doing awesome.
Hey, but you got a great Zach Throne is the shit, man. You got a great fill-in with that dude. He's
what
so
a good dude.
Yeah, he's
so
great.
Nice. Zach's great. So we're happy.
You guys are doing great.
Well, I hope I see you sooner or later. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for a great hang. That was awesome, man. Needless to say, this could have went 4 hours, but you got to cut it off.
I know. Just like the Elvis movie. It could have been longer.
Oh, yeah. We'll review that Blu-ray when it comes out. We'll review the extras, right?
Let's do it. I'm on board.
Okay, thanks for checking us out. You can find us wherever podcasts are broadcast. Until next time, keep rocking live. Peace.
Thanks, everybody.